Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Benton Shifts Grins 2 bike rack, and we're going to see how it fits on our 2022 Ford Maverick. Now this rack is going to hold the bike by your tires with these wheel straps that keep it down in the cradles, and primarily by this hook. The hook's going to go either to your front tire or to the frame of your bike. You've got the option for either one, whichever works better. So if you have a carbon frame or alternative frame bike, that front tire is going to be the point for you. Or if you just don't want to make frame contact, like me personally. Or if you've got a front fender, then the frame would be your go-to. It's really helpful for adapting to a wide range of different bikes. And as far as your weight capacity goes, between those two cradles, you can have 55 pounds in each. So pretty good capacity. If you've got e-bikes, I would just double check the weight with that battery removed, because the average weight of the e-bike is around 60 pounds, so it's not quite there, but it's still pretty good. Now this rack does also have the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded. Just press a button on the back side, lower it down, and on the Maverick, it doesn't give you room to fully open your tailgate, but if you raise those cables to the upper supports, it can stop right here at this angle, and it doesn't make any contact with the bike rack from there. So if you need to get something out like your helmet or a cooler, you can. You're just not gonna have a flat place on the tailgate to set those things. But let's get the bike unloaded. We're gonna take those straps off first by pressing the button and pulling that ratcheting strap out. It's gonna just lay down to the side out of our way. And we do these first because they're not physically holding the bike upright. The hook is gonna be the piece doing that, so we wanna do it last. We can do that standing up with a better grip on the bike, where we can press the button on the hook. And you can fully remove it from the arm if you'd like, or if you've got it on the front wheel, you can just leave it pretty loose, push it out of your way, and lift the bike up and away from the rack. Because that arm moves fully out of the way, nothing's gonna be obstructing us, and we can get on our ride. With that bike unloaded though, I do wanna take a few measurements, starting off with our ground clearance, which at the back end, we're gonna sit in 21 inches from the ground. There's a really great rise in the shank here, and even though the Maverick is a shorter truck, that's great clearance, and you shouldn't have to worry about bottoming out really in any scenario. For the distance we add to the back, from the bumper to the furthest point out, we're sitting at 33 inches. Again, for a 2-bike rack, that's not bad. It does stick out a little more than some, so do watch out for it when you're pulling into parking spots and driving around. But we can fold it up for storage whenever it's not in use, if we wanted to leave it in the hitch. And from the bumper this time, it's only gonna stick out 19 inches. That will make things a lot more compact and easy to drive around with if you choose to leave it in the hitch. A few things to be aware of when it's folded like this though. It will partially be blocking the backup camera and the license plate, but with how close the hitch sits to the tailgate on the Maverick and how low the license plate is, that's pretty much true for most bike racks out there. And you're really gonna be blocking one or the other all the time anyway. You know, if a bike rack sits up high enough to have your license plate visible, then it's definitely gonna block the backup camera. And if it sits down close to the hitch so that you can see your camera, then it's definitely gonna be blocking the license plate. So nothing too abnormal there, just something to keep in mind if you're driving around with it like this. Taking a closer look at our hitch though, we can see it's fitting inside of our 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube, and it does come included with an anti-rattle bolt. That's gonna keep things nice and solid in the hitch when you're driving around and keep things from shaking. Also included is going to be this integrated hitch stopper. What this is just a collar with a hand knob that when you set it up for the first time in your hitch, you'll push that knob forward until it hits your receiver tube there. Tighten it down, and now each subsequent time we put it in our hitch, that stopper will hit the receiver tube and align the hitch pin hole on the first try, so you don't have to fish for it, and you don't have to constantly be pushing it in and out to find that perfect position. This is a really cool inclusion, and pretty much no other bike rack does this. Now, if you do choose to take it out of the hitch between uses, there's a really neat feature where it can fold up even more compact for storage, say like in your garage or your house. There's going to be that button on the end that we use to tilt it, but then also a pin down by the first tray that we can pull. And that's going to allow the whole thing to fold up into itself, where the shank is no longer sticking out now. So the total width or depth that it takes up is not very much at all. If you've got just a little corner in your garage or an apartment even where you need to store this, this is pretty compact. It will be heavy, so bringing it to that storage location might be a bit difficult, but pretty much no platform rack does this. So if you're tight on space, this is the way to store it when it's not in use. Overall, I think the Benton rack is a really solid option for the Maverick. And one of the things we didn't talk about yet, but that is a standout feature of it, is the fact that you can easily convert this from a 2-bike to a 4-bike rack with the 2-bike add-on kit. That can be taken off really quickly and easily, so if you don't need to run with a 4-bike rack all the time, but every now and again you load the whole family up in the Maverick and you go on a ride together, you can do that. And again, that's something really unique to this rack. There's plenty of other options out there that can be converted from a 2 to a 4-bike rack, but that conversion takes a lot longer to do, and once you upgrade it to a 4-bike rack, they're kind of meant to stay that way. So if you have need for that feature, or you think you might have need for it down the road and you're just not quite there yet, I think this is a great option. One thing I would say though is if you don't need that ability to upgrade, you just need a 2-bike rack, and you don't have very heavy bikes, I'd maybe consider checking out the Hollywood Rack's Destination 2-bike rack. It's going to work about the same as this in terms of how it fits on the Maverick, but it's a much lighter rack. And although it has a lower weight capacity, it's still extremely capable and holds the bikes really well. I've recommended that rack to my own family a number of times, and they've all liked it in their prolonged use. So it's one that I'm very confident recommending to people, and I think it'd be a pretty good alternative if you don't need that 55-pound capacity. But if you do have need for that and you like the features you saw here today, this has just been our look at the Benton Shifts Grins 2-bike rack on our 2022 Ford Maverick. My name's Aiden. Thanks for watching.